Well, it's time to talk business with our partners 2 Degrees. Fonterra's bosses say the cooperative can be back at current profit levels 3 years after it sells its mainland group. Garth Bray joins me from Business Desk now. So,
morning, Michael.
G'day, how are you, mate?
Yeah.
So, Fonterra's confident it can turn the same profit with a smaller business?
Basically saying that by reducing costs and by switching some of the milk supply to higher value ingredients, these are like your protein powders that are all the rage if you like to bulk up and get those gains, or if you are
always
in aged care, for older people who just need a bit of extra nutritional support, and they're saying that's a big option for them to kind of lift the value of what they're doing, and they'd put some of the money that they expect to get from this into developing a couple of plants. There's one, I think, at Studholme down near Waimati in the South Island that would, there'd be $75 million going in there to try and make that better able to do more of this sort of stuff. I mean, they're also saying that there's they're still confident that $10 a kilo of milk solids that they're predicting for this season will hold up, even though we're seeing, with higher prices, a lot of extra supply coming in from North America and South America. So they're saying, hey, those farmers are saying, great, this is an opportunity for us to supply more milk to the world. Normally that would bring prices down, but Miles Hurrell seems to think, no, we can still maintain that $10 a kilo payout into the next season, which is sort of good news for farmers going forward and supports that picture. I guess the only caveat to that they're putting is a bit of geopolitics, which I think is code these days for what will Trump do? Will he start whacking tariffs on things or subsidising farmers over there more? Or could all of this stuff we were just hearing about from Gaza or from Ukraine potentially affect world trade, world supply, world demand?
Yeah, I mean, is that already, that must be producing a lot of uncertainty at the moment.
Yeah.
And what sort of impact could that have?
Well, I guess that's the imponderable. One analyst I spoke to yesterday said trying to pick where milk prices will go in the future is a bit of a fool's game because there are so many factors, but arguably, he said Miles Hurrell is probably one of the best placed people in the world to try and have a view about that. So, we'll see how that unfolds.
Yeah, totally. Well, just on that point about geopolitics and, there's some finance news that could assist Ukraine's war effort.
Right, because there are a bunch of funds, we're talking nearly 140 billion euros, that's about 400 million bucks, frozen of Russian funds that are frozen in sort of clearance accounts in the EU system. This is in euros. And the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, is saying, look, okay, we don't want to necessarily just take that out and give it to Ukraine, right? That would devalue the euro. That would be a risk. Others would see the euro as a risky currency if that's the kind of behaviour we do. But we could borrow against that, raise loans, and lend that money to the Ukrainian war effort, backed by other EU partners and potentially some of the G7 who've got, other big economies that have got frozen funds. And that would, it would potentially provide a sort of a funding lifeline for Ukraine's war effort. More likely, it'd be a really big lever that Putin might see as a signal to get back to the negotiating table in a serious way. So it's a pretty big diplomatic call there and a big financial call there from finance, from the head of Germany.
Yeah, totally. And the NZX is expecting a new listing. What is Manuka Resources?
Yeah, a bit of local news here. This is Manuka Resources, and is an Australian small miner of silver and gold, and they've also got some permits to do some vanadium iron ore seabed mining off the coast of South Taranaki. Bit controversial. I think there's plenty of environmental groups, fishing companies who say, what's this going to do to the seabed and the ecosystem around here, iwi, who aren't too happy. And there's also a wind farm, offshore wind farm that says we'd rather have that spot. But they are doing what's called a foreign exempt listing. They're already on the Australian Stock Exchange, so they're sort of just basically patching across. But it's the first kind of new listing that we've really seen on the NZX for quite some time. I think you have to go back to like Winton Land or Black Pearl 4 or 5 years ago since we've seen a direct listing. It's been a bit short, so bit of a small sign of celebration for our local market today.
Yeah, absolutely, some progress indeed. Garth, always good to see you, mate. That is Garth Bray from Business Desk, and we talk business every day with our partners 2 Degrees.